All right. It says we are now live for the first time ever. We are trying out this live stream thing. I'm Jesse Bergman.
And I'm John Kimmel.
If you guys don't know who we are by now, well, first off, probably should check out our campaign because that's the first and foremost thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure. So it looks like we got Trunk Sword in chat already. What's up, Trunk? Thanks for joining us. You definitely are first here tonight. Definitely just going to hang out for the next hour. We're going to take questions from anybody on the stream, and we're going to answer any questions about the Protoan that may be out there, maybe talk a little bit about decks and strategies, and just kind of see where things go. So the more people that jump in and ask questions, the better. You know, if you know people that are into this game, make sure they jump in here. This is the time to find out everything about what we just launched today. So, John, day one, man.
Yeah, it's been interesting. You know, I'm actually watching the feed right now on live. I'm only seeing you.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Let me check some settings here.
John's I see myself now. That's interesting.
There is a delay.
I wonder if there's since this is the first time doing this and we watched other people do it in the past, like the profile image that we see historically, like when we're actually doing it, we don't see that little preview.
It could be. Like we're on delay, so there's about a 5-7 second delay from what we talk about until somebody actually says something on the chat. So if we don't answer your question right away, that's just from the delay in live stream. But if you ever participate in the live streams, you know that's kind of what happens here. So, so John, obviously day one went pretty good so far. You know, obviously we're not done with the day yet. Just I haven't checked on the most recent update to it, but 64 backers is a good count. To put that in perspective, for those of you that have been around with us since the Battle Begins, when we did the Battle Begins, we had 47 day one. So I'm super happy about 64 day one. It's not our highest day one total, but it's pretty close. And we still got some time left, so we might get there. You never know. But you know, I think the main thing is, you know, talking to everybody and then kind of archiving this for people to watch that couldn't catch the live stream tonight is really what is this campaign all about, and what do we need to, you know, what would they like to see? I mean, obviously we want to take feedback from our community that this campaign is organic and that it's going to grow throughout the campaign, and it's not just what we want to do, it's also what everybody else around us wants to do. So, I mean, hopefully we'll kind of get to that. We're going to talk a little bit about a poll that's running out there right now in our community page for voting on the social stretch goals. So if you're, hey, guess what? If you're not in the community, here you go. And it's helping achieve the social stretch goals for that. So that's on Facebook. There's links on the campaign. I can put a link up inside of the chat as well on YouTube for anybody that wants to head over there now and get in on the action. Yeah. So, John, what do you think? Like, what are you most excited about on this campaign in particular right now?
You know, it's been a while since we actually had a full-blown new Battle for Solaria release, essentially, and it's cool that, you know, the Protoan, and then we also have the Exolarian developed as well, which we kind of touch base on a little bit in the campaign about it being available hopefully soon. But the fact that those two factions are new, but it's interesting because for us internally, those factions were around since the very beginning of the Battle Begins. They initially were play tested with the Jotun and Cynthian. Since we've had this extra time to develop them, we've made some, you know, revisions since the time that they were originally tested, and I think that's just helped them improve that much more. Other than that, there's just a lot. It's you know, it's a new year. We started this thing called the Alpha program at the first of the year, where we're releasing new content now every month, and the Reign of Terror introduced that whole process with. We had a digital release for both factions, the Protoan and the Exolarian. And yeah, all of that, it's been kind of a whirlwind. It's kind of crazy, to be honest, that we're already at the end of March.
Yeah, I
For
can't believe
better,
how
for
fast.
worse.
I just can't believe how fast this came up. To be honest, like
Yeah.
I mean, we were more ready today than we've probably ever been in the past. There's no doubt about that. But it's
We
interesting
were
to
last
me.
week.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, but it is interesting how fast it did pop up on us still,
Yeah.
and you know, I'm not sure you're ever 100% ready for these kinds of things, and you know, that's okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about the Protoan. I'm actually really excited with where they landed from a design perspective. Like, I think this might be some of the best work that we've done from a design and development standpoint ever
Yeah.
on this title, and really kind of sets, you know, the growth of us as designers and as developers in this particular platform and what we can do in the future with it, knowing that. So you know, obviously that all hinges on success here. I mean, that's bottom line. So yeah, you
Exactly.
know, I you know, when we went and did the Protoan 4 years ago and where the Protoan are today after going through some tweaks and reworks, they're in a much better place. And um, but yet I still think we did a really good job, and I got to credit, you know, Matt Greenleaf with that, and I got to credit Neil Molman for picking it up when Matt went out on his own, and you know, I got to give credit to those guys for working really hard on the back end of this thing on the playtesting side to really hammer those games out and find the balance that needed to exist, and that's not always easy in the strategy card games because there's so much variance and variability, and um, you know, you think you've found all of the combos and synergies, and yeah, you find out maybe later you didn't, and then you have to
Right.
make changes. I'm looking directly at you, Ferdinand. So yeah, you know, I mean, I think all in all, you know, this, I don't feel like you know, there was much that we had to really you know, to say from a perspective of that side where, you know, we're pretty much, I'd say 99% done with development at this point. We're still doing some final tweaking to some of the cards that are in Protoan and Excelarian ROT, but not really. I mean, it's just really kind of where it's at. I'm sure Neil could probably pull deep down into the bowels of our testing files and find out how many games we actually ran, but it's probably in the 600 to 700 range. I mean, it's an enormous amount of games, and when you figure it's 20 minutes a game, and we have basically a core group of about 6 internal play testers, it just, it's a lot of work to get to this point, and it's part of the reason why we weren't ready last year, and it's part of the reason why we weren't ready at you know, earlier in this year, and you know, that's okay. I mean, it was better to delay it and make a better product. So yeah, Neil said it was 600 before he started. So, and Neil's been with us since September now. So, and if everybody didn't know, Neil is in chat with us, but he doesn't have a cam, so he's not going to join us on the live stream today. But he is going to be with us in spirit, um, you know, and you know, talking about those kinds of things. So, you know, I really want to take questions from people that are watching this stream. I want, you know, if you guys have questions about it, that's what we're here for. We want to interact with you guys. But until the first question comes in, John, let's talk a little bit about social stretch goals, because we really haven't been discussing that yet. And we did get a question from Naughty Corpse, so I'm going to respond to him. He asked, "Can the Proton expansion be played 2 players right out of the box, or would I need either the other expansion or start set?" It's a good question. Yeah, so it is a standalone expansion, but it is a single player box. So the Protoan faction on its own would require another copy of the Protoan faction to be played with a friend. Or you can get like the Battle Begins starter set, which is discounted down to, I think, 18, John? Is that where it's at right now?
Actually, it's 16.
$16. Sorry, $16, which is 20% off of our normal price on it, and that would actually give you the ability to play 3 players, because the Battle Begins had the Jotun and the Cynthian in one box, and there was the starter decks and some additional cards. What we're doing with this Proton expansion, though, is actually giving you more additional cards than what you would have gotten on the individual factions inside of the Battle Begins. So the Blood Profit and Glory kind of raised the overall card count for the individual factions, and because of that, we had to actually release a larger kind of faction set, and so that's what led us to this stage here. But if you have friends that already get the game, or another friend that gets in and buys into the game and buys the Protoan faction, you guys are ready to play right out of the gate. The more people that have cards, you can play multiplayer with it, you can draft, you can do all kinds of different things. So there's lots of ways to kind of customize Battle for Solaria specifically to how you want to play. I think that answers that question pretty well. Do you have anything to add there on that, John?
In fact, I saw a few requests that we need to share our live stream to some of our social media channels. I'm going to do that real quick.
Okay. I thought I did.
We're kind of noobs on this. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure I put it in both the community and the Facebook page. So, and I put it in the comments on the campaign. So hopefully people see it. It's all new to us. This is kind of a new experience, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it is on. It is. So I'm gonna remove mine now that I see that. So you did post it. So
yeah, I was working on that while you were getting your coffee. So
I should literally just put my coffee pot like on my desk and just drink straight from the pot. That's pretty much all I should do.
Yeah, exactly, Nadi. That's exactly right. And if I'll let you in on a little secret, if you don't want to wait for the print and play post campaign, so Nadi asked, okay, then for the print and play, just print out enough for the 2 players so I can get a taste of the game before I go all in.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So actually, if you just head out over to Solaria.com right now, and you go to, I think it's up at the top. It's like games or something like that. Products maybe. I don't even know what our own site says. That's pretty bad, isn't it, John? I'm gonna blame it on exhaustion. Products and then Alpha program. And when you're in the Alpha,
it's under. I can help with that real quick.
Yeah, I got it.
Go to our website, punchitent.com. Just go under products, like Jesse said, and then right under products, you have Battle for Solaria and then the Alpha program. If you click on the Alpha program, that will give you links. It'll explain that, but it'll also take you to the Reign of Terror Alpha Edition.
So that
download button there.
That actually is going to give you the downloads for both the Protoan and the Solarian, and you can start playing with those today. The digital download we're going to deliver post-campaign is going to be different in that it'll have more artwork in it, and it'll be more of a complete version of the Protoan when we're said and done here. But for the short term, you can download this and definitely get a feel for the game even before the campaign ends, because we want to get you guys involved. And so one of the other things we'd like to talk about is, would you guys like to do some Let's Plays and using Tabletop Simulator, if you have it, like go through the process of teaching you how to play the game basically through the internet, power of the internet. So, hey, thanks, Herodrim. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're definitely excited about this campaign and appreciate you being involved in it.
Definitely.
So let's talk social stretch goals, John. Sure. I think that's we haven't discussed it yet. We've kind of kept it under wraps a little bit today, and we're kind of waiting for the 24-hour update to happen tomorrow to kind of discuss them in greater detail. Do you want to kind of run through them that's on the campaign page really quick?
Yeah. So right now, I'm going to go back to the campaign. Sure. And there's only 4 social stretch goals, but we do have a poll set up for that, so you can vote. That links directly on our actual campaign page. It's also, if you're a member of our Battle for Solaria community, there's an announcement that has a link available for that voting. But the four elements that we have are basically 2 alternate art cards that are community driven and 2 play mats. All of those are exclusive to Kickstarter. It's one of the only exclusive elements we have to Kickstarter. We've internally gone back and forth a lot on this, like the merits of Kickstarter exclusive or non-Kickstarter exclusive. And on one hand, it seems like a cool thing, but on the other hand, it can kind of alienate a lot of people too, post-campaign. So I think we have to, we try to handle it in such a way that we're rewarding those that are most active in our community by having some exclusive rewards like the social rewards, social goal rewards, but in general, we try to shy away from it. But we do have 4. And like I said, the first one, if you look at the chart, which is kind of midway down in the campaign for social goals, there's 3 things we're focusing on. We're focusing on our alpha program, we're focusing on our newsletter, and then the Battle for Solaria community group, Facebook group. It'd probably go longer than we cared to on this particular Q&A as to why we chose those 3 only. But the short of it is those are the 3 that we find most relevant for us right now. And so we chose those 3, and we try to keep it as simple as possible, although I'm a little concerned that graphic may be a little difficult to understand. But I think it's pretty simple. So for example, for every 25 additional new subscribers we get, or I should say just 25 new subscribers we get for the alpha program, the community earns a point towards the social goal rewards. And then 50, 2 points, 100, 6 points. And then if you look down, the newsletter has a little bit higher count to reach, if you will. So you have to get 50 to get the 1 point, 100 to get the 2 points, etc. And then the Facebook community group, we've kind of allocated that to be for every, well, the 100 and then 250 and then 500. But each one of those point breaks or subscribers, etc., earn you either the 1, the 2, or the 6 points. And then if you look down below, you can maybe gain the system a little bit, but I mean, that's actually kind of by design, right? So if you get 2 points, you get access to the alt art play card, which is just any of the existing factions that we have today. So it's the Jotun, the Protoan, the Mercenary, and the Protoan. That's why we're here. But Jotun, Scythian, Mercenary, Protoan. Right. So if you want a specific one, I highly encourage you to go ahead and cast your vote. And then the alpha play cards, similar kind of thing. It's the existing factions that we currently have, but if you're not familiar with the alpha program, that too could kind of go into a lengthy discussion, but ultimately those cards are different visually in that they are mostly monochromatic. So if you've been to our website, you've seen that the Jotun have a mostly blue card, the Scythian have a mostly red, the Protoan will have mostly green, the Exilarian in time will have a mostly yellow. And then if we do mercenaries, it'll be mostly kind of a grayish or platinum gunmetal-ish color, if you will. So those are the color schemes for those, but they are full art as well. So not only the one color mostly are monochromatic, they're full color. So those particular cards will always be kind of limited even by themselves. Typically, the alpha program, again, if you're not familiar with that, we release these promo cards usually in a set of 2. And they just last for that month. So in this example, these alpha program cards, if we hit that goal, they'll just be available for this program or this campaign. And then that'll be it. So it's like Inception, exclusiveness within an exclusive. Yeah. Whatever.
Very deep exclusiveness. So Colin asks John, he goes, I got to ask, which Protoan card is your favorite? And I think Colin's just being mean to us because we know Colin from way back. And Colin was one of our early ambassadors in Omaha. So, hey, shout out to Colin. How's it going, buddy? But
how's it going, Colin?
Yeah, so this is kind of tough, right? I mean, this is not an easy question to answer because I can answer it a couple of different ways. So let's start with thematic. What's your most thematic and favorite Protoan combatant, John?
Man, that's a tough one. I really do like, thematically speaking, I like a lot about what we've always called parasitics. But a lot of people call Parasite X. I mean, tomato. Yep. I mean, so we say parasitics a lot because that in some way, I guess you can hear it first. That kind of like Parasite X is kind of a spoiler into the lore a little bit. Like they get named Parasite X. They see the words Parasite X, but the locals that find him, so to speak, don't say Parasite X. They just call him Parasitics. But the identification, the laboratory, if you will, would have been like Parasite X. He's like one of the original host creatures. with the virus. Can I say that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
there you go. I did. And so I really like parasitics, and I also like this, and that's a type 1. So it's like kind of a champion in our universe, if you will, in our world or game. But I also like, from like common critters, if you will, I like megalithid. I don't know why. I just like megalithid a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you on megalithid. So from a thematic standpoint, it's a backer card for me. And well, it came from backer Scott Bean, and during the Blood, Profit, and Glory campaign. And shout out to Scott if he's watching. I don't know, but if not, maybe he'll catch it later. But I like Scobin. I think thematically, Scobin is like the kind of thing that I envisioned early on when I was designing the Protoan, which was like these mythical creatures. Um, so from a pure thematic standpoint, yeah, Scobin probably takes the cake for me visually. Visually, and boy, but I'm with you. Like Parasitix, Parasite X, whatever you want to call him. He came out so cool looking. Like, it was, to me, the true definition of like sci-fi horror when it showed up in our early, like, spoilers for our art and illustration stuff. I was like, that's exactly the kind of thing that these guys are, right? They're the sci-fi horror. I mean, if you've ever seen the movie The Strain or something like that, or even like going back to Aliens, that this is not the thing you'd want to find on the dank corners of a ship somewhere, right? You're going to go running the other way as fast as you can, and it's probably still going to get you. So, yeah. So from a pure thematic standpoint, for me, Parasitix is up there too, but I think Scobin takes it just barely for me. So John, then from a competitive standpoint, like from a pure like gameplay standpoint, I think Neil's weighed in on who he thinks is really good in the spoilers. But who do you think weighs in as being like the guy or the card that takes the cake on a competitive standpoint for the Protoan?
Man, it's like almost the same answers for me. Tricentis is really cool. Like, he's like the bread and butter.
Tricentis is kind of like almost in a way like Art of War, right? In the Jotun or the Masterminding in the Cynthian. Like, you'd be remiss to not consider him in a deck.
Yeah. Thematically, I really like the miasma projector, or as we affectionately call the poop cannon.
Yeah, miasma's
cannon.
Miasma's cool. I'm not going to call it that. You've called it that since we started, but I'm not going to call it that.
Can't help it.
I know.
And that's the G-rated, YouTube friendly audience.
Share this with.
That's not really what I call it,
boys and girls. Yeah, I think competitively for me, like I really found like the more that I played around with it, the more I came to just like it and think that it can really give you the edge in a game is Carapace Dome.
That's a great card too.
I just think it's one of those things. And I think Carapace Dome is one of those things where when you get into a scenario where you might be a little behind, but not out of the game yet, Carapace Dome can put you right firmly back in the driver's seat of possibly winning the thing. And it was definitely at Great Plains Game Festival. I played a Protoan list in our alpha tournament there, and it was definitely the card of the deck for me. So I hope people try it out and find the right amount for it. And Neil added in Lifeblood and a Gruffalid Hatchery, and those are definitely up there for me too. That if I had to list 5 cards, I definitely would have Lifeblood and a Gruffalid Hatchery in there as potentials for competitive card play. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it for me on terms of the competitive side. So, and I'm with you. I think Miasma Projector can be a really brutal card to play against. I mean, it can really take
crazy Joe in there, and he resets the poop cannon and he poops some more.
Yep. Just leaving it there. I'm not even going to go after it.
Diarrhea, cha cha cha.
I don't even know what that says about us.
Means we're fun.
That's right.
We're fun.
So, um, so back to this campaign, and away from the number two humor going on here.
It's late in the day. That's what happens.
That's right. It's been a long day for sure. What? Yeah, Neil, this went downhill fast. I agree, Neil. It did. Um,
That's what
I think
happens when you have to fight the Protoan. It just becomes a mess.
that's right. That's okay. We're gonna stop with these jokes now. I'm putting the kibosh on these jokes. Um, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about our stretch goals. I know in the Why Kickstarter video we explained them pretty well, but maybe people haven't watched that video yet. It's here on YouTube on our channel if you want to go to that. It's also in the campaign. There's hyperlinks to the sections of the video so you can kind of break it down and watch it however you want. But I think this is, our attempt at trying to kind of make this campaign have a little bit more fun and interaction and a reason to kind of come back and check it every day. Remind you that it's going on. And I think we can start to craft some of these things to what our users want as well, within reason. I mean, there are some limitations to what we can do and can't do there, but we would take consideration and try to again make sure that we're providing a product at the end of this thing that is what our backers want, not just what we want to do. Um, so the first objective got released today when we hit 20% funding, which was awesome. By the way, thank you everybody for getting us there. That's. I mean, we can't ask for a better opening to the day. I think we mentioned that already, but just to reiterate it again, since we got a few more people watching now. The first objective is the retail box objective, and the reason that's kind of important is it's going to give us more goodies when we get there. Ultimately, what we're looking at is what we like to call counters. Some people would call them tokens, but it's going to be stuff like +1/+1 counters and influence counters and solarium counters and the virus counters and all the counters that you would kind of need in order to track things in the game without using dice in the way that we've all done it up to this point. Number two thing you're going to get in that is a health dial, which is just a way to track your health in the game. We're still, we're still big fans of either writing health down or tracking it with dice, but this just gives you a little bit more of a visual thing to use for tracking health. And then probably the doozy of all of it is the new Learn to Play book. And the Learn to Play book is essentially what's on the website right now under the alpha program. So again, if you go out to Solaria.com, go to the alpha program under products, you'll see a download for that. There's also a link in the campaign that's a link directly to it, so you don't have to fill out anything in the cart or do any of that stuff if you don't want to. And that is not that book hasn't gone through final design. John's still got to put his magic on it. So that's you're looking at just plain old Jesse programmer art. That's why
Don't judge us, please.
Yeah, that's why that's why we call it the Alpha Edition, and that's the reason why John is so important to this, because he makes everything look good. I just make all the stuff work.
Yeah.
He makes it all look good while it works. So
I always get so much anxiety when we release stuff that doesn't look finished, but I don't think it hurts. I think it's great that we have that out there, and I definitely appreciate you getting that put together.
This book, in my opinion, if you're new to Solaria, is the best way to learn the game now. I think it far surpasses anything that you're seeing inside of like the YouTube Learn to Play videos that we've had out in the past. It's better than the 100-page comprehensive rules that we had. Sorry about that, Cranky Tom. We're working on it, I promise. And then I think it's better than obviously the book that was in The Battle Begins. So we've learned from our mistakes and errors in our ways over the years, and we're getting better about rules and rule writing and how to teach somebody how to play this game. So all things considered, I so far, I mean, we had Ann Miller tell us that the rules was a pro. So that's the first time I think anybody's ever told us our rules were a pro. So when reviewing our game, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think
Who said that again?
Ann Miller, Tabletop Addicts. Yeah.
Right on.
So, I definitely think that all of these things put together lead to a better product. And that's a direct reflection of feedback that we got from the community over the last couple of years, right? I mean, that came from places like Board Game Geek. It came from places like our community pages, direct emails to us, just communication with us. And I think that's the common thread you're going to see through this whole campaign. We're accessible through this campaign. Um, Probably
Literally
maybe
right
more,
here.
yeah, probably more so than we ever should be. But that's neither here nor there. We want to be here for you guys, and we love making this game, and we want to keep making it for many years to come if we can. So,
Heck
what do you
yeah.
what do you think, John? I mean, what are some things you'd like to see kind of happen over the next couple of days? What are some things that
Obviously fund. That would be awesome.
sure.
But no, it's just really cool to see the amount of engagement. Even before the campaign, doing the whole like change up with the alpha program, the amount of interest in the game, the amount of interaction we've had with folks locally, online, seeing our just player base grow. That was the whole goal of that. And yeah, man, a little backstory, since Jesse and I, we typically have our day job thing going on, and we put a lot of hours into this on the side, but it still is a secondary thing. But we've really tried to position ourselves to do as much as we can all the time now with what we do here. And it's really exciting just how much we've been able to get done, and the reaction so far. As far as like what I'm looking forward to in the next few days, I would love to see some of these stretch goals. I would love to talk about the next, not only just the next missions, but I mean, and definitely the next major objectives. We try to do this in such a way, there's two philosophies on this, and this is a little bit of a tangent. When you're a publisher, or anyone that's doing a Kickstarter for the first time, especially for games and the tabletop game community, especially, there's some challenges. And first off, we're not doing miniatures, right? So those always draw a lot of eyeballs. So we're not doing miniature games right now, but there's still a lot of cool things within our card space that we have in mind that we want to do. And man, I'm losing a little bit of traction on what I wanted to say about it, but there's just because I'm trying not to spoil anything. That's the thing.
That's okay, John. We're
so initially, yeah, okay. My train of thought was we released this in such a way that we thought it would be accessible to a broader audience. You could get access to the alpha program, which was essentially free, and then we kind of deconstructed the Reign of Terror box originally. If you've been following us for the better part of 6 months or more, we were doing surveys on, do we do this huge box set with all the tokens, all the counters, a large rule book, health dials, right? Like everything in this one box. And then there's the storage box, and Jesse can talk to that too. But when we looked at that, we were like, wow, we haven't brought a Battle for Solaria product to market in a year now. We really need to kind of, I think there's going to be a little bit of a concern of like sticker shock, right? Like we went from not having anything for a while, then boom, like too much stuff. Thing is, some people may want all this stuff. Well, that's great. In this route, you can still. We've kind of broken it down, but without giving away specifically what our missions and our objectives are. And Jesse will, I think you should be the one that talks to that too, why we structured that the way we did. But ultimately, if we stretch where we would like to stretch, in essence, you get the whole box experience, right?
Yeah, that's true. We're going to be keeping a close eye on things and how this campaign progresses, and then we'll figure out, some of those stretch goals and how they'll actually interact and come into the campaign as we get there. And so, I mean, we talked. We talk about it in the page. We kind of spoil it in the page. I mean, the next major objective is going to be getting the Solarian, which if this just barely funds and we don't get to them, rest assured, we're not going to rest on our laurels on that. So
they're ready to go.
They're ready to go. So I mean, they're our intention is to kind of let the dust settle on this campaign just a little bit, give us some time to set up another campaign page and, kind of do our pre-marketing. And then we're going to be right back on Kickstarter probably within, 30 to 45 days of the close of this campaign, maybe 60 at the most with the Exilarian. So there's no downtime really on this. And the whole goal is to have both of these factions in our backers' hands by the end of the year. Now, the storage box is where things got a little troublesome for us when it started talking about storage boxes and how much it was going to cost for ocean freight. And because we're not a huge, multi-million-dollar Kickstarter company that, we know we're going to get 10,000 backers. The economy of scale doesn't work in everybody's favor here, and so when we make big products at short print runs, the cost is enormous to the backer, and it's enormous to us, and that makes it hard. It makes it hard to be competitive in a space where you need to be competitive. We don't want to be considered the guys that well, why are you charging so much money for your game when it's just this? We don't want to be that. We want to be somebody that that's kind of just one of those things that we want to meet the demands of the backer, offer a fair price product, and offer a high quality product. And when we started looking at this box, it didn't meet all of those goals. So the box may make it in, but again, we're going to have to keep an eye on the campaign and how that's progressing to really make that call. And I guess we'd love to hear from you. Would you, if we don't stretch into a box in this campaign or in the Exilarian campaign, would you like that box? And if so, what are you willing to pay for something like that? Because quite frankly, we don't know what it would be worth to somebody. So that to us is a big question mark on how to even market that product and make it. And to be fair, just so everybody sitting in this hangout and watching this later down the road knows, the Exilarian and the Protoan will most likely be the last time we bring Battle for Solaria to Kickstarter. The goal is going forward next year, now that we have the core factions out and we've been able to essentially create the core experience, to start doing pack releases on a monthly basis for a much smaller investment than what you find on monthly pack releases and other games in this space. So you actually will end up by the end of the year, at the end of each year, with about the same number of cards as what we're doing inside of like the Protoan Exilarian right now. But it's just being done on a more consistent release schedule, getting product into players' hands sooner. And we think we have a way to do that going into next year. So obviously that's why it's so important for us to and these social stretch goals we were talking about before, to get people subscribing to our newsletter, being involved in our community, because quite frankly, we're just not going to have the marketing outreach on Kickstarter going into next year for this product. And we want it to continue to grow, and we have plans on how to continue to grow it without the help of Kickstarter. But, we need to take advantage of those situations now too. Think that's a fair enough answer, John, or did I
think it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I don't know. I can be a little windy sometimes. Sorry. So let's talk decks for a little bit, because we've got about 20 minutes left in the campaign, and I want to talk about like Protoan decks in particular. Building to a theme or building them using the construction system to be competitive. Kind of give some inside scoop there. And then, before we kind of wrap all of this up for the night, just kind of go through the add-ons and let people know how to do add-ons. And then that should probably wrap us up for tonight's live stream. So
sounds good.
So you want to start, like, when you build decks, John, where do you start on the Protoan? What are you looking to do?
Well, that's a great question. To be fair, I feel like out of everyone in the group, I'm probably a little rusty at it, because I've been taking a step back to get some of the graphic content done. But the last time I was really aggressive with building a deck, I did the standard it's really attractive to play the critter deck where you just spawn tons and tons of tokens. That's just really fun.
Mhm.
That being said, I also like the idea of challenging the deck design or the faction design. And so I liked the last deck I made. I really liked the big creature route where you have just enough tokens to fuel things like Megalithid, um, produce as much Solarium as possible for the cannon, the miasma projector, I mean, and and having Crazy Joe to reset that, as well as I really like Sorana just in general for a type 1. So I guess just more the instead of going really wide with the Protoans, we talk about how that was their design, but they can also go tall as well, so to speak, where you don't have to have a ton of Protoans. You can go that route where they just get huge, and that's fun.
Yeah, I agree. They've got kind of a little bit of the best of both worlds. Maybe not quite as efficient at going tall as like the Jotun can.
Right, because you do have to kill off your other dudes to do it. That's the trade off.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But I think that the value you get out of um, the synergies that exist in the use of the tokens, whether you're in the go tall strategy of playing things like Serana and Parasitics and Scobin and Megalithid, or taking the route of like the go wide with the tokens and playing things like the Hive Queen and the Timorous Queen and Matarox to go with that, and um, the Agrifold hatcheries, and uh, kind of even taking a step further, whether or not you take those tokens and you use them as offensive firepower with cards like Bloodlust, or you turn around and say, now I'm not gonna use the Bloodlust here. I'm gonna actually surrender my guys for value through like something like a Mount Kalara. There's just a lot of different approaches and strategies that are very competitive and very fun to play in this faction. So I love Asphalt Plains for the reactionary against Scythian players when they're like, okay, I'm gonna like blow your guy up with this feedback, and you're like, well, cool, I'm just gonna go ahead and surrender it with my Asphalt Plains and draw a card. Like I love that. Like it's almost like countering what they wanted to do. You're still giving them what they wanted, but you're getting advantage out of it now instead of just letting them free will get something they wanted. So those are all the things that I really enjoy about this faction when I play it, and I'm kind of near and dear to my heart are the Protoan, and that's not to say I don't love the Scythian and the Jotun, because I do, but I just tend to find myself more attracted to playing these guys. I kind of blame it on being a Tyranid player in 40k many years back. I was a Eldar and Tyranid army player, so
Yeah,
this
you're
this
always the alien factions.
always, yeah, I've always been kind of that way. So I mean, I play the Protoss in StarCraft too, so there you go.
Yeah.
you know, I just never been the guy that played the humans too much. So I think that all of that kind of calls to me and beckons to me, and so obviously, like for me, I'm super excited to get these guys made and get them out into the wild and let people start to experience them. Like using the alpha program like we have has been cool, because guys like Dustin and Logan in Kansas City, they're doing the Battle Commanders podcast, and they're talking about these cards now and experiencing the things that we experienced many years ago that we wanted to share. And now we're getting to hear people experience what the things we wanted them to experience about this game when we started this thing way back in, well, I started it in 2011, but the official launch was 2016, I guess. So maybe Neil's got some.
Kent or Kaiser
Yeah. Hey, you
is
can.
on the call, I see.
But is it really Kaiser, or is he copying somebody?
Oh man, who knows?
That's the inception that we're really worried about now. So yeah, it's so for all of you that don't know, Kaiser here in the chat was a original playtester of Battle for Solaria, and he got a backer card for all of his contributions. So Kaiser the Omega Experiment exists inside of Blood, Profit, and Glory, and Kent, that is Kent's card. So hi Kent, welcome. And copying is definitely the best for in Kent's opinion. Kaiser is a beast. He can be, quite literally. So, um, so let's talk a little bit about add-ons, John, before we kind of wrap this thing up, and let's discuss it. I know there's a lot of them. The idea with add-ons is we never put anything into add-ons that's required for the game experience. So, in other words, we're not going to go, hey, let's go and yeah. So, hey, Smunchy, what's up, man? Hey, Sean, good to see you. Add-ons, are just cosmetic. They're allowing you to customize the game. So they're not necessary, but obviously we hope that you like them enough and you want to customize your game and personalize it in some way, which is the big reason why we have 5 playmats on this particular campaign. We don't expect everybody to get those, but we definitely want you to have choices on which one you like the best, and pick the one that's the best for you, or 2 maybe. If you want to get all 5, I'm not going to tell you no. I mean, but some of the other things that I think are really good quality of life add-ons that people should consider are the Mercenary Pack from the original game. Evasion, It's a Trap, Art of War. Even if you never pick up the original game, those are just really good cards in the game. They're staple cards, Heroes Boons in there. They're staple cards that find their way into a lot of decks, and there's a reason for that. So, that $5 Mercenary Pack was actually designed because the demand for mercenary cards was so high in the Battle Begins that a single playset wasn't enough. We didn't anticipate that. And, it was basically one of those things where when we did the Blood, Profit, and Glory expansion, we were able to print the mercenary packs, and we can continue to do that kind of long term. So as it sits, they're there for people to get them. The other one probably is the token pack for the Protoan. The base game is going to come with 4 copies of the tokens. You can then use dice or glass beads or whatever to kind of keep track of your count of tokens if it gets above 4. That does happen, especially if you kind of go all in on the token production plan for the Protoan. And so that's why we created the Protoan token pack, which gives you 16 more of those. So that will bump you up to a total of 20 tokens. If you get 20 tokens in play, I want to see a picture of it because I haven't seen that yet. I've come close, but I've never hit 20. So 1 token pack would give you more than enough tokens for a single player playing Protoan that I can see. Unless you're just kind of going crazy in some way or have like a crazy game. Outside of that, the other stuff is just adding the games on in an a la carte way. So if you didn't want to go all in, but you wanted to get like the Jotun and Cynthia starter pack, cool. Very possible to do that through this campaign right now and add it on. Again, those are discounted, just to help make the overall game experience be a little easier to get into. I'm not sure. You had a match. Colin says we had a match. He got up to 20 tokens. I don't. Was that with Old Hive Queen though, Colin? Because I think it probably was. Those test games don't count when it's like that. So Hive Queen went through a number of iterations. Her final iteration now, just so everybody's aware, is she's a 4 Solarium, 2 construction cost combatant. She's a 3/3. But when she comes into play now, she makes 2 tokens. And she used to be, once a turn, you would get to make tokens equal to half the number of tokens you already had in play. Yeah, she was definitely the old Serana at that point, or Hive Queen, Colin. So, hey, Brandon, what's up, man? Thanks for jumping in. Yeah, so now with her kind of dialed back in, we're not seeing 20 tokens coming up all that often, Colin. It's I think I probably on a pure token building strategy probably get somewhere in the ranges of 6 to 10 a game now. Just kind of depends. Yeah, so good question, Sean. Sean asked for the add-ons, do we add them to our pledge? Yes. So if you are in the domestic US and let's say you bought the Protoans at $20 and it's $5 for shipping, your total pledge value is $25. So all you need to do is just manually modify your pledge and add on the amount of money for whichever add-ons that you want. So if you wanted a playmat, you would just add $20 on, and so your total pledge when you're done should be $45. That's including the shipping. Everything you add on is included in that $5 shipping. So we're not charging extra shipping for each add-on. We're not charging shipping at the back end of this campaign. It is just $5 is going to be the shipping rate for domestic US for whatever you order. Doesn't matter. So that's just another reason why it's a great time to kind of get it, because not only is the game discounted, but you also get a cheap shipping rate on top of that. Anything you want to add into that, John?
Nope. That sounds about right.
All right. So, John, a lot of people probably don't know, but I get this question a lot. Like, how do you work your magic of keeping like the art for Solaria consistent? We've got about 9 minutes, so I'm sure you could probably spend a lot more time than that talking about it. But I do get that question a lot.
Sweet talk our artists as much as possible so we don't lose the ones we have. And it's just try to be consistent as possible with the group you have. Make sure that when the time comes for art requests, that you try to keep everything as clear and related to each other as possible, and hopefully pick artists that after time you kind of get to see their strengths and weaknesses, and so you kind of allocate specific artists to specific tasks. And I mean, the short of it, that's what you do. But it took a long time for us to get to where we found the guys we have, and that is a whole conversation for another time. It was not an overnight thing. It took a long time to find those folks and to get that ball rolling.
Yeah, it kind of happened semi-organically, right? But some of it came from us being in the right places too, putting ourselves in the right places to meet those people. So Smunchy, Sean asks, how do I specify which playmat, or is that asked after the campaign? Yeah, Sean, it's going to be asked after the campaign. Depending on the success of the campaign, it'll either be done through a manual survey, or it will be done through a pledge manager type solution. But again, it kind of depends on the backer count. Certain backer counts really don't warrant a pledge manager, but other backer counts do. So depending on where we end this thing, we'll kind of make that decision kind of later into the campaign. And of course, we'll notify you all through updates on the campaign, what's going to go on there. And we're going to be doing a few more updates to this campaign, obviously, this time around. But we try to keep updates to a minimum, just because we don't like flooding you guys with a bunch of stuff unless we have something important to say there. So most of the activity you're going to find on the campaign coming from us and coming from other backers probably is going to happen in the comments section. So that's why we want to keep you coming back as much as possible, because there's going to be a lot of conversation that can happen there. Sorry, I'm laughing at Kaiser's comment here. I'll get to that in just a second.
Man, yeah.
We looked
and put the snafu on you if you say stuff like that too.
So Kaiser asks, is Energy Drain still in the works? And if so, can you hire the art team from Viagra? Sure.
Define somebody art team.
Sure. Why not? Let's call it Viagra. What is it? Aren't they run by GSK now? Let's just see. Maybe
I don't know, Jesse. This is gonna go slippery real quick.
I'm getting old enough. I probably should find out who makes that. But no, yeah, Kent. I don't think we'll probably hire the art team for Viagra on but
I know as much as you would like to draw for us, Kent.
Yeah, you still have that copy of Gorfaxia Blood Eye? Pfizer. He looked it up. Or maybe he already knows. Maybe he's got a prescription from him. So, Kent might have an early concept art for a Protoan somewhere. You never know. But yeah, no, energy drain is not currently in any of our plans for a while. That's and I definitely know you can MS Paint something, Kent. So anytime you feel like sharing your MS Paint masterworks, feel free. Yeah, we're only high class, Neil. That's the bottom line. We don't do anything but high class. That's just how it works for us. So okay, so we got about 4 minutes left on this
I
campaign.
can't believe it's gone this
Bit.
fast.
It does go
This
fast.
campaign, this call, dude.
This call, yeah, we got a few
We
weeks
got a
left on the
month
campaign.
almost left for the campaign.
That's right. So some people may ask why we didn't do a full month campaign. We condensed that down. Basically, the idea is to get this campaign closed so we have still time for the Excelarian. And again, we intended to launch it last week, but we just took some time out of the campaign. We're eliminating some of the middle downtime. So what that means, though, is that if we start sharing this campaign, like the call to back it has to be more prevalent because we don't have 29 more days left in it. We have 23. So we felt like the funding goal was achievable with a shorter duration campaign here. And we think we can keep the momentum going better for 3 weeks than 4. We can deliver content a little more consistently. And so you'll see that coming up in some of the updates. Like, well, I'm going to release an update here sometime in the next week or two, and so I'm on record here, that will show you, written by Neil, but will show you how to draft Battle for Solaria. And that would be using the existing products that are already out there today. So does anybody else have any questions for us, though, before we wrap up tonight? Kind of give them a couple of minutes here, or a couple of seconds, just because I know we've got a little time delay. I think we're pretty quiet, John. Anything you want to add before we sign off tonight?
No, I think I'm pretty good. I think. We should. Did you talk about how they can find us tomorrow?
Find us tomorrow.
We're gonna go live tomorrow with a tabletop simulator. Still.
Oh yeah. Good. Thank you. Sorry, my brain was. So tomorrow night we are. We're going to live stream. With a TTS gameplay session. Look to the comments tomorrow on the campaign for when that stream is going to go live. Probably will be around the same time, I would imagine. So 6 Central, 7 Central, somewhere in that range. We might go a little longer if we've got people that want to play the game. But the main goal is to get your eyes on the gameplay itself. So it'll give you an opportunity to see how the game is played, give you an opportunity to jump in and get the game taught to you, and just kind of hang out with us. So then we'll probably take a little bit of a hiatus from live streaming until next week. So this is just a special launch day one, and then we might do some other live stream updates throughout the campaign as things are going to talk about what we reveal and things like that. But it'll be whatever you guys want. You guys are you guys as our backers are our customers and ultimately are helping us drive this product. So, we want to hear from you. If there's something you want to see us do, bring it up. Tell us about it in the comments. Let's find out what we can do. Nothing is off the table. It just sometimes we're not always able to accommodate either. So, all right. Well, we managed to fill an hour. Thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate you guys coming out and asking questions about the campaign, and appreciate you back in the campaign. John, you got anything to add?
Yeah, actually, it just occurred to me, if you're still wanting to have a little bit of insight about the game, reaction from our community that's not directly from us, if you go to the Battle for Solaria community Facebook group, inside the Battle for Solaria community Facebook group, there's a group of guys out of Kansas City that have put together a podcast recently called Battle Commanders. And I'd highly encourage everyone to if you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more about the game, about our community, especially if you're from the KC area, to give a listen to that podcast. I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Those guys are awesome and doing a great job with that podcast. So, all right, everyone, we will see you tomorrow night for some actual gameplay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.